To the other family that ever goes through a case like this, just know they're gonna lie to you. They're gonna tell you in your weakest moment that if you just want to make it go away, just go along with the plea, just go along and all this stuff will go away.
Make it all go away. Nobody wants to listen to Steve Gonzalez. I think the poor man's breaking down into reality. And you want to know what? And a lot of us have thought the WSU lawsuit, was there more reason behind that so that they could uncover more discovery? You never know. But as we've all seen recently, and we all think, is mainstream media hopping the fence? Shit's getting weird. Shit's getting weird. And if you listen to Steve, it almost seems to me that from the get-go, yes, Steve was getting a lot of details from the inside, but there became a point where I almost feel now that whoever, whether it be the university, whoever the fuck was in power, they got Steve, aka the Gonzalez family, to a point to where they were comfortable enough to agree with this bullshit story. Hence what he said. They all just wanted to make it go away. And then in another part of this interview, Steve mentions how the families all had to act together. And in my opinion, act together, and whoever was pushing this was saying, act together. We need to make this all go away. Go away. They were pushed. I almost feel now that all this shit comes out, that these families were pushed to a point and they were totally in the know on what was going on. And then there was a point that switch flipped and they didn't know shit after that. Hence, when Steve's about to say here in this interview that I'm going to play, that they didn't know anything about these pictures coming out. Is that a shocker? To me, kinda. It's kind of a shocker, but you want to know what? Like I said, the flip of the switch. I think at that flip of the switch, shit got real dark. The gaps in time on the way stuff was put down on the paperwork and everything. They just shut down. They convinced enough of who they needed to convince. And at that point, shit went to shit. Anyways, let's go on this.
We learned brand new things. Those details that were put in those docs were never given to us. They were given to strangers before they were given to us. It's shocking that a family doesn't get any kind of priority, even heads up. We asked for discovery. They said they'd give it to us, but they never did. So yeah, we're working with legislators. We're going to try to fix this. Idaho has Bill 1135 that hopefully will protect this type of information and make sure that it never gets out. Especially he pled 4 cases of murder, capital, all of them, and in the same breath he waived his rights to even challenge it. So why does this need to come out? All these details. I mean, these are like mortician details. It has nothing to do with a case that's never going to happen.
This is where Steve mind fucks everybody. He says shit like this shouldn't come out. Obviously, we know it shouldn't come out. And maybe he has a different opinion, but he just fully hadn't jumped on that side of the fence. Unfortunately, Steve, shit like this has to come out to open eyes on what really happened and who's the real killer of your daughter and her friends. Plain and simple.
Just to be clear, you're saying, did you even know it was going to come out today, or were you just shocked? Were you shocked by
We
the
had no
headlines?
idea. We had no heads up, none whatsoever. It goes to the media before it does us, and
That's awful.
We just find out through our phone starts going off.
That's awful. That's awful. And now you're confronted with this. People will say this information can help maybe shed some light into the timeline of the attack, the intention of this, the injuries sustained by all four were all.
And this is where all Jesse, I think Jesse is the first one that wants to hop the fence. These photos may shed some light into the investigation. Jesus Christ.
Awful. Were awful. But the injuries sustained by Kaylee and Maddie and where they were positioned and how many injuries they sustained to their face and neck, does this give you an
Is he the only person that stopped and maybe looked at these pictures? Maybe? Has he maybe stopped and looked at these? Because why? Other than that, why is he saying this?
indication that Bryan Kohberger was targeting them specifically?
No, I think there's some timing advance records that kind of lead me to believe that it was another person that they were looking for. I mean, Matt might have been part of that.
This is where I think they fooled the fuck out of the families with the DNA and these cell phone timing records. And that's unfortunately what it seems. Maybe that's the only fucking thing they have to go off of. DNA, timing records. Let's go.
But there was two individuals, but I think all the families tried not to go down a road where we blamed each other, or we tried to say one person's kid was more responsible or had a role in this or something like that. We tried to keep it. Unfortunately, we had to do this all together, and pointing at each other wasn't something we were willing to do.
What was that all about? Unfortunately, we had to do this all together. What the fuck is that supposed to mean? To me? You want to know what that means? Is they served this town served this shit on a silver platter to them as this is this. We need to make this all go away. This is how this is going to happen. This case is going to go to trial. The killer's going to get the death penalty. And it's going to be fucking happy trails from there on out. But like I said, at that point that the switch flipped, yep, the people in power wanted to win. And you want to know what? They won. And you want to know what? They're still fucking winning. They're winning. After years of waiting for answers, perpetrator Bryan Kohberger was sentenced for the murders. But following the lift of the gag order and the release of all the investigation documents, was Bryan Kohberger really the killer?